Hello everybody, today we're going to be doing a challenge video in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And before I talk about really what's going to go on, I want to quickly go through the rules, which is actually a little bit more complex than you may think, but I'll get to that. So obviously the first rule is that there would be no pressing left for the challenge. But there is an exception, because on the world map you have to press left a decent amount of times. So I'll put a counter up for that. Another rule is that I'm allowing myself to play from a 200% save file. If a stage is impossible and there's a secret exit, I will have to get the secret exit without pressing left. Third rule is that I'm allowed to play with any Kong in the game. The final rule will be that I'm allowed to use any item that the game has for me. As a quick disclaimer, this is the entire movie, so every single level in the game, I'm gonna play this video. Even if they're not required to beat the game, I just want to see how much is possible. So we will play every level, and because this is a movie, I'll quickly go through most of the levels. If you want like extended cuts for each world, let me know in the comments as I'll work on this video. And without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed this video because this was a pain to make. Starting off in Mango Cove, we really don't have any issues for the first part as it's literally just a hold right. But as we see, we get to one section and there's a giant wall. Thankfully though, one of Funky's main abilities of why he's so good for the challenge is something that we call a grab jump. This allows him to get extra height in order to make this jump. This tech will be proven to be super useful throughout most of these stages. Also, as you see me exiting the stage here, I accidentally pressed left to end a roll, which is another thing that I have to be very careful of. You cannot overroll or else it just ends to an instant reset of the stage. Aside from these two sections in the stage, there wasn't really any other challenge within 1-1. Plain one there. If you're curious, I also tried the stage with 60 Kong, and as you see, 1-1 literally would have been impossible if I would have not played with Funky Kong. Moving on to 1-2 Shipwreck Shore, the stage was mostly easy, especially since I speedran it a lot. Up until the ending portion, because I missed the goal like 1 or 2 times, but aside from that, there's no trouble with 1-2. Moving on to Canopy Chaos 1-3, this is actually the first difficult stage in the run, as we can see. The main issue is that we have a vertical section, which become one of the biggest problems in this run. Because of how vertical sections are designed, you need to be very limited with your movement to make sure you stay to the middle as much as possible, so you have more options later on. After a couple of attempts, I was able to get to the cannon, and this is my live reaction. Okay, that's huge. After that, the level is free, or it's not, but the level is free after that. Moving on to the next stage. 1-4 is Trunk Twister, and it's an auto-scroller stage, so like all auto-scroller stages are like free, right? Anyways, this one is free though, so like there's literally no issue with this stage at all. Up next, I actually do 1-spot, and at first I was really scared about the stage, because from what you're gonna see, I thought the penguin pushed you and allowed you to move left, but it doesn't. Until I accidentally found out that these slopes that are in the arena are super broken and they make the fight pretty much free. Also, I don't even know how in this clip I got the face left off the slope, but that's cool. Instead of moving on to World 2, I said I was going to play every single stage in the game, so I move on to 1-8 Zipline Shrine, and this stage, it was something. I'll just show you, but you guys can see for yourself. Right away in the very first clip, that was like my second or third attempt because I rolled too far. A little bit later in the level, I demonstrate how there are different ways of moving left by using flip, which is very unconventional. And I think I also try showing the enemy bonk, but this stage is not possible, which will mark the first impossible stage of the game. But this is a completely optional stage, so it's pretty much irrelevant. We got Busted Bayou up next, and this was another stage I was a little bit worried about for one specific part. But not only did I learn how powerful this tech really was, right now I learned that there is a lot more potential this had for the run. But aside from this one obstacle, the rest of the stage was pretty easy. Then, as long as you don't touch the ground. Oh my, yo, holy crap. Crab jump on. It's time for 1K, and this stage, from what I remember, wasn't too bad, but some interesting things did happen throughout the run. Wait, what the hell? But anyways, if you just took your time, the stage wasn't that bad. And just like that, we are now moving on to World 2. Just gonna wait this time. And boom. So just like that, every single level is possible in World 1 excluding 1-A. Moving on to World 2. Starting off with 2-1 Windmill Hill, like I said in the video which you're not going to be able to hear, I've put the most hours into the stage and I did manage to beat it without pressing left off camera. For some reason though, when I went back to try to beat it on camera, I did struggle a lot at the vertical section, but I still bet it nonetheless. After that, it was pretty much a cakewalk, so we can move on to 2-2. In Mountain Mania, this is the first stage where we get introduced to Rambi, and that means this stage is pretty much just a hold right stage. There are some sections of swinging crates that actually allow you to get some speed to move to the left, so if you ever messed up, you just land on them. And aside from that, level is pretty much free from there. Now we get to move on to my favorite stage in the entire game, Horn Top Pop. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, the stage is completely free no matter what you do in the ending portion. In any situation you get stuck in, you can legitimately just hit the goal, because the vines make you jump in the opposite direction, so if you're on the right, you jump straight into the barrel at the end. 2-4 is an auto-scroller with nothing eventful, so we'll just skip the stage. So I actually will take my time, because I don't... Wait, there is a 0% chance this level is possible. Well, yeah, there's nothing I can do here. Is the challenge over seeming just like that? Nah, I'm just kidding with you. There's a secret exit in 2-4 we can take and get our first left press on our world map to continue to 2-8 to see if that's possible. 2-8 took me a couple of attempts to beat, and I actually did surprise myself, which I'll play the live commentary in a second. But aside from that, it's heavily canon auto-scroller based, so there's nothing too interesting throughout the stage. Oh! What? I did it? What the? Oh god, I don't know what I did. Holy crap, I did it without even knowing what the hell I did. Once again, you're going to get the second left press on the world map, which is a separate counter from the actual left presses. And again, this is another auto-scroller stage that's even more brain dead than the last one we did. So there's literally no challenge at all within the stage. For the third and final time in this world, you have to get one more left press on the world map. And then we have Wingding, which is actually a pretty challenging stage considering it's mostly another auto-scroller, but you'll see why. Within this vertical section you have a lot of bouncing platforms while the tower is collapsing, which makes it extra hard to play carefully and make sure you don't mess up. But in the end, I still did manage to beat it, although it was a really challenging stage. I definitely bet on my first attempt, which you guys don't need to see this. Okay, yeah, if you just don't press anything, you're fine. Now, I want to tell you this now. Boss was one of the hardest and most impressive stages for me to beat, but this marks the first hard boss out of the remaining bosses in the game. So no boss after this becomes any easier. I will not explain most of this run since I think my clear time took 7 minutes to beat the boss a single time, with over 40 minutes in attempts. Instead, I will show you some of the setups I used and just most of the hits throughout the run. So in this first clip you're going to be seeing right now, I tried to go for the one cycle but mess it up. And in some future clips you're going to see me miss some shots, and I'm just going to try to make sure I show as much hits as I can, since even with this sped up version of me hitting everything, this fight still takes really long. Anyways, there's some cool movement on the second phase, as you can see. Using the cannons and bouncing off of enemies gives you a lot more movement. Aside from that, enjoy the rest of the run with the live audio. Down, start swinging, and bop. Like potion thingy, you're gonna come in hand. Because I get... Yes! Dude, I did not think this boss would be possible without pressing left. I think the strat here is to just only hold right, like the entire time. I kind of forgot to add 2K in the video, but I remembered because I was watching it back and realized, hey, it's not here. Anyways, 2K is low-key easier if I just hold right. Other than that, nothing really happened except for maybe me perhaps choking. Okay. No! But I actually did save it. Other than that, we can now move on to World 3. Once again, every single level is possible in World 2 except for 2-5, and the only other issue is that we got 3 world map left presses throughout the run. Now we can officially go to World 3. Starting off with Grassland Groove, we actually do have a couple of challenging sections throughout the level, which I'll cover shortly. Here's me complaining about a laggy clip from doing time attacks. Well, I'm not really complaining, I'm just showing it basically. The snake section caused not too many issues within the stage, but the last part did cause me... I'm such a big brain. I am such a big brain. Caused me a little bit of issues that I had to find a solution for. Judging by the clip, I could have probably did this in single player instead of using Dixie, but I just did 2-player and it worked just fine. So moving on to 3-2. Within the first 10 seconds of the stage, you're already met with a vertical section, which proved to be a little bit challenging, but you're going to see a sped up version now, but in a second you're going to see me do it again. Anyways, after this vertical section, the stage is pretty free after that. For my original strat at doing this, it was something like that. You hold right, because if you touch that once, you die. So cool. It'd be close enough where it doesn't matter. In 3-3, we have another Ramby stage, and aside from the stage being like difficult on its own, it's pretty much a free hold right as long as you just take your time. Like, look at this section, it's completely hold right. Other than that, the stage was pretty chill. Total of 300 hours in this game, so if there's any stage that hard that's not 6-5, then there is a problem with me. And next up we got 3-4, which I don't know why I flashed the leaderboard, even though like there's a couple of stages I'm on that I didn't include. Anyways, pretty easy stage. I'm doing it in a time attack for some reason, and before I get rudely interrupted, it was an hard stage. But with that, moving on. Next up I do 3K just because it's right beside 3-4, and on this stage, besides for me just absolutely hating it and it being just an annoying stage in general, it went okay. I cut like 20 minutes of attempts out. No! And that happened, but after that, we were good. Moving on. Roll off and take... There we go, that took way... 3-5. Rocket Barrel stage. What else more do you want me to say? Moving on. 3-6 is a very short stage, and it's a cannon auto-scroller, so there's not much to say for the stage. With that, moving on. Nothing much else, besides from, it was free. I never would. Up next I do 3A, and besides from me absolutely smoothing, I'm starting to realize there's really not that much to say about World 3 levels, even though I included pretty long clips for some reason. Could have reduced video duration, but you know, I was low-key smoothing. Anyways, we're done with that. We got 3B up next, and aside from me struggling with the stage spawns in front of you going to the right. So if that's not self-explanatory for how the stage went, I don't know what else is. Moving on. Let's just listen to Stick Rush Symphony for a bit. Before I move on, I already got you covered last clip, but now we're at 3-boss, which I first attempted it without using 2 players, but as you're going to see very shortly, final phase isn't really doable. I tried a bunch of different 2-player setups, and this was my best one I had, and for some reason I chose to use Diddy Kong as one of my first attempts, and as we're going to see, well, I'm just gonna go through to fight normally, but this guy Diddy low-key sold my entire run, and I literally had to reset because of him. Frick you, Diddy. After looking at that last run, I'm like, Dixie Kong looks a lot better here, and because she can twirl up, this made her literally broken for the fight, and I was able to beat the boss. Cranky Kong may have worked here, but, you know, Dixie doesn't get enough love. Reaction was surprised, and before we move on, I forgot to record a left press. And with that, every single stage in World 3 is possible, so it's that we can finally go on to World 4. If there's any world I'm scared of for this challenge the most, if I wasn't already, it's definitely this world, because I do not know anything about this world. Not only that, it's primarily underwater. Within like the first 10 seconds of the stage, I already run into a problem, and I tried doing things without going into 2-player mode, but as we can see, that like aura thing pushes you away, so without 2 players this first part is impossible. After that, I had to reset a bunch of runs because I'm either impatient or just don't know the layout of the stage. So as you see here, you're not going to hear the clip, but I didn't know that pressing B neutrally propelled you forward for some reason, so I had to reset like 3 times on this part, and a little bit later in the stage the same exact thing happens, but I did get it, and after that 4-1 is possible. With that, we can go on to 4-2. Now, as I mentioned, the secret exit is not even remotely possible. I don't remember the stage, I just know it's an auto-scroller, so not a rocket barrel, a minecart, meaning that it should be 100% free. Clearly, my unfamiliarity with this world shows right away, as I kinda gotta say nothing here. So with this, that means 4-2 has a required left press at least once, and that means if the only other way to avoid it is by taking the secret exit in 4-1, but that also requires the left press. So sadly, it is not possible to beat Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze without pressing left, but I'll see how much stages are possible and the minimum required left presses by the end of this video. So I hope you continue watching if you're curious. Sorry for being a bit late, but this is me going back to 4-1 to get the secret exit, which requires 1 left press, and I'm counting a left press as 1 full hold. The second I release my finger off the left, that ends the left press. So we can add 1 required left press to the counter and move on to 4A. In 4A, it was a pretty simple stage, although coming up in just a second, I don't understand what even happened here, as you're gonna see again. But aside from that, we go for the secret exit to continue down the route and finish off the stage. Honestly, I'm not even going to do a voiceover for this next stage, because I'll just play the live audio throughout the entirety of it, starting from now. Oh my god. Well, we're already required to press left, so this is 1 left press, and as long as I'm holding the direction on the stick, I'm counting it as 1 left press. For the level 2, that is. Well, that's 2 left presses on the level, which brings us up to 3. I'm still going left in the same direction, which that just, yeah, obviously I am. Okay, I'm saving my left press, so I'm still on 2 left presses here. I just held neutral and just continued to the left, which you can count that cheating, but I don't give. I mean, I'm still kind of holding left. You guys can just let me know how you would count this, but I'm counting this as 1 whole left press, because this is 1 entire sequence. Okay, the sequence is over. You can count it as 3 left presses if you want, but for the sake of this video, I'm saying that's 2 left presses. Even though I pretty clearly went right, I'm still counting it as 1 left press. I also go back to 4-2 to reduce 1 left press on the stage, which means I have a total of 2 for the stage. And if in the next 2 levels, I'm pretty sure, if I don't get any more left presses, this would be a more optimal route. Otherwise, it's not. Up next, I play 4-3, which is after the minecart stage. And basically throughout this entire stage, if I get a singular left press, then my other route would be more optimal. But we're still going to play through 4-4, even though I hate that stage. About the stage, nothing really interesting happens. You hold right through most of it, but then you're required to hold left for this one section and do 1 left press, meaning that 4A and B is more optimal than doing 4-2, 4-3, and 4-4. So that's gonna keep us at 3 left presses right now, with 4 world map left presses, and with that we'll move on to 4-4. I rate 8, one of my least favorite stages in this game, and not only is it just long by itself, it's also very difficult. And as we're gonna see in most of these octopus sections, there are going to be a lot of times where you hold left or need to press left. And in fact, it happens so many times throughout the stage, I can actually think of a proper way to keep track of all the left presses. Just know that it's over 5 or about 5, and the stage is very impossible. So far, we've actually been on a really bad streak with World 4, as half the stages in this world so far are not freaking possible. Hopefully we have better luck with the second half of the world, and hopefully we have better luck for the rest of the challenge. It's a lot more fit. I'm on 1 HP. And yeah, the stage takes forever, which is why you're seeing all these different left presses, but we're done. Moving on, thankfully. 4-5, aside from me being an absolute genius about to happen in like 5 seconds, the stage was pretty chill, but fighting against my speedrun knowledge on the stage was really annoying because I couldn't get the fast ending, which is just super dumb. But anyways, it was finally the first really free stage in this world, thank God. With that, we can go on to 4-6 now. 4-6 is a very interesting stage, as you're going to see here. I don't need to follow the instructions. You can actually just do a neutral spin and just go up and down, which works on that spinner, which I did not know. Playing super carefully in this room, and I was able to get through. These next few rooms were super easy, but we did get to one part where I'm just going to take live me through. Well, this is a required left press. You know, that guy just talking right there was kind of dumb because I was editing my video at 4 a.m. At 4 a.m. me thought of a solution to this one. So I don't know what bro was thinking, but I did it with Cranky very sloppily, but it still works. With that, we can just barely get the goal, and we can move on to 4K. I thought I missed. 4K is a stage I speedrun, and for the amount of vertical sections it has, it's surprisingly easy, and that's probably because my speedrun knowledge kicked in, but who knows. I don't know, I just really liked how the audio sounded, but I literally did this in a TA with very little issues, I guess besides from health, but I mean, just to show you, I still would have got a shiny gold TA from doing 4K, just to show how simple it is. We're doing Fugu Face Off right now, and I go straight into 2 players, and even though we have the restriction of not pressing left, Cranky is still goated at this fight, and even though it struggled a little bit, it didn't actually cause too much harm. But I'll show you some clips coming up. Okay, Cranky, kill yourself. Okay, no! Yeah, I'm just gonna let the live commentary play. 4 a.m. voiceovers is not the best idea, so past me, do good. Go left or continue right in some capacity. That's something I kind of have to do. Please go, yes, go to the right. Now I could just go around and smack his ass. And again, I just Funky, get hit again. That is crazy. That is crazy. This has been the worst world by far, as half the levels are impossible. 4-1 is possible if you get the normal exit but not the secret exit. With that, we're moving on with 3 left presses and 4 map left presses. In 5-1 we get a refreshing break from World 4, as there's a lot of sections where you kind of just need to wait to go right or just hold right. So with that, we can pretty easily get through the stage, and then we can finally move on to 5-2. We have a rocket barrel stage in 5-2, so you guys know what that means. Yeah, we can move on to 5-3. Up next, we're playing Fruit Factory, and this is going to be the first case where we actually use an enemy in an interesting way to move left, although you're going to see this clip later on with my newly discovered or improvised tech, but with that, that's pretty good. So within Fruit Factories, there's a lot of conveyor belts going to the right and left, so you shouldn't really struggle too much unless if you're kind of dumb and roll off the one conveyor belt where you have to pull on this cork right here, and then I don't know why I called it a cork, but I could have saved myself, but I didn't know the tech at the time. But with that, we can just easily glide through the level after that. I do 5A next, and you may think this level could be a little bit difficult, but since we have so many swinging platforms with all vines on them, we're allowed to actually just jump to the left from the right side, so it makes all situations where you look like you need to press left pretty simple, as you're going to see right here. After this, it's pretty much a free stage, and we can easily move on to 5-4. Okay, pretty cool. Up next we do 5-4, which is another stage I actually pretty much hate, but aside from like the annoying underwater section where you have to weave through the spiky balls, we actually do return to this level quite a bit of times throughout this challenge. And you may think I do so for some specific reasons, besides from having to reset, but you'll see that I do learn some new tech on how to improvise from my OG tech I did in 1B, so you'll see that upcoming very shortly. This vertical section gave me a lot of issues, but just for the sake of this video right now, where I learned right here that just hovering after bonking off a wall and just holding B allows you to just keep traveling in the same direction, which makes traversing to the left a lot easier than it already was. For now we're going to press left, but I will be back in the stage very shortly. Anyway, than 90%. So that one is possible. Going back to 5-3 for some reason, you get to see the tech being used, which shows that it's a lot easier to make it to the barrel and you don't even need the enemy, meaning that everywhere I struggled earlier with this wall bonking thing was pretty much useless, since this is a lot better and a lot more efficient. Anyways, like I said earlier, I'm smoothing, so I'm including clips that are probably irrelevant, and I'll mute for 2 seconds. Fish, okay? Fish are useful. Fish. But anyways, I get the secret exit in 5-3, which is pretty irrelevant. So while editing, I was watching the clip and I'm like, this is possible. So I spent literally 20 to 30 minutes doing this one thing, and I'll let the live audio play from now on. I still need to move left, and I'm... Yes! So for right now, we can reduce one left press, and I forgot to mention, but you need 2 more world left map presses to continue on to 5-6. Obviously though, we're gonna go to 5-B and 5-5 before moving on to 5-6, but within 5-B, there's not really too many issues. I mean, there's some close calls I have, which I don't know how I don't die, coming up in like 2 seconds is about. But aside from that, there's really not too much difficult things with this stage, especially since there's a good portion of it just going through cannons or just waiting for the like spike walls to drop. But with that, we can go on to Jelly Jamboree. Jelly Jamboree is a pretty simple stage, so as long as you really just take your time with going on hitting the blue jelly blocks to make sure you get proper switches, you really don't need to worry about pressing left at all throughout the stage. With that, we can go on to my segment where I find a glitch by accident, and I'll talk about it soon. And just wait above the cannon. And just like that, you have broken the stage, and now you literally cannot do anything. And that is how... 5K. Where do I even begin with the stage? If you guys don't even know, I was not even able to beat the stage on my Wii U. So, yeah, that's something. I have an incomplete stage in World 5. But, this stage is already ridiculously hard alone. And we're going to see right here, we are already required to press left. So it's that this stage is not possible, but it doesn't end there. We get, I think, a cool auto-scrolling movement boost there. But, as you're going to see in this section, you're not beating this without pressing left at all. So, you press left a couple of times and are able to beat the stage after that. Frosty Fruits is a really fun stage because instead of having the restriction of not pressing left, you get hyperspeed going to the right. But aside from getting the hyperspeed, some speedrun knowledge, literally, like, you can see you react to it properly and then just completely mess up because, just not pressing left is really hard sometimes. But aside from that, the stage is not bad, and we can move on to 5-Boss. 5-Boss. I thought this was going to be one of the most enjoyable bosses throughout this entire video. Well, I didn't even know you could get scammed like that first of all, but you are going to need every single banana potion you can get here. Now, I thought this boss would have been really cool because you have all these ice cubes moving to the left, and he jumps, and then the stage shifts, and you can get pushed in one direction. But this second phase, man, oh my god, I don't know if I was being dumb and took way too much damage, but this made the fight a living hell. Pretty much once you get past the second phase, you're free from there. But aside from that, the stage is actually really difficult to beat. So with that, I'll see you guys with my live reaction when I beat the stage. Before we get to that, I have to say the ice is so frictionless in the stage, where sometimes you just get launched 3/4 across the map and you can't do anything because I can't press left to stop me. But now to the live reaction. Come on, again. Yes! Holy crap, bro! And with that was a really interesting world. Aside from 5k not being possible, we can now move on to world 6. I'm gonna fly through most of these stages because actually a lot of them are pretty simple. Starting off with 6-1, it's actually pretty chill and short of a stage. We have some challenging parts, but I mean, obviously vines come in clutch every single time. After this though, we pretty much just end the stage from here because you could just roll off and just jump twice whenever and just win. Going to 6-2 now. 6-2 is another stage I ran a lot, so honestly it was pretty simple, especially since Funky's grab jumps, which I haven't mentioned in a while, just make traversing through the stage super easy. As long as you just keep going right and just know how the stage works, you can beat this super easily. Honestly, I never really played 6-3, but without pressing left, the stage was actually a lot more enjoyable than I thought. Being close up and not knowing what really was ahead was kind of scary, but it worked really well for some reason. Aside from this like vertical collapse sequence, which was super easy, the stage is pretty much free from there, and we can move on to 6-4. I haven't even stopped this voiceover recording because this is a rocket barrel stage, so you guys know how this is going to end. Yeah, time for 6-5. 6-5, one of my most hated stages. This stage took me incredibly long to beat, as you're going to see why it took me so long really quickly, because I'm using all these platforms for a lot of speed. Aside from that, not really a problem for the challenge, besides from the level just being hell in itself. With that, we can go on to 6-6. I can choke this. 6-6. This is by far the hardest base level in the game, aside from bosses. Honestly, I don't even know what happened in that clip you just saw, but this section, bro, it's so bad. You're gonna see like another 100x speed compilation of me trying to do this, because this was awful. And I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, I did not beat this level legitimately, because it took me like 20 minutes to do this once, and then you're gonna see what happens in about like a couple of seconds from now. Right after this, I wanted to test out if the next part of the stage is possible, which it was, but I bet the stage from there, so I'm just gonna say if you merge the clips together, it's possible, but I just didn't want to sit here for another hour to do these two motions in sequence. But with that, enjoy the rest of the run, which this one was brutal. Possible, because I don't know if this next part is possible. Okay, right here you just walked right. Holy crap, that is crazy. I'm not feeding into brain rot terms, so Frozen Frenzy is up next, and even though I have no clue what I'm doing in this stage, it's honestly surprisingly pretty chill, for considering it's like the second last level of the game. But yeah. Besides from just all these electric things, there's no point where you really need to press left. Rip, bro the bow though, but I did manage to beat the stage shortly after that. With that, we can move on to 6-8. Despite me not knowing what to say in like half these late game stages, because they're pretty simple, 6-8 was actually kind of difficult, even though the Ramby stage. You just have to figure out multiple different ways to stall while going on icy blocks and sometimes down slopes. But with the proper techniques, you can beat the stage, and we can now do 6-A, which is up next. Easy. Okay. Well, we're done with all the main stages. Honestly, not that much to say about 6-A, besides from bro sucks at speedrunning his own stage that I'm on the leaderboard for, but There's that pretty big auto-scroller section on Divine, and you're holding right to escape exploding dynamite, so this stage was Breathe. Yet again, not too much to say about 6B, as most of the stage is collapsing behind you, so you don't want to be pressing left throughout the stage. I do move a little bit, but I do panic, and a lot of the stage has these vines you can hang off of. Other than that, we can move on to 6K. For being a K stage, Funky Kong kinda just breaks the stage and makes the stage pretty much a joke. As long as I took my time, you're gonna see what I was doing to beat the stage. It took a while, but it is doable, so we can now move on to the final boss of the game, Frederick, which he is something else too. Honestly, I hate this boss. Like, you're gonna see right away that if you don't move, he actually just goes to the other side and never comes back to your side. So you're required to move in that first phase in order to hit him. But as soon as you get him to the second phase, he's not that bad since he spawns ice. And as you can see, you can use the ice to move to your left with the enemies. After that, he becomes just annoying to hit. And since I suck at hitting him, I don't know how much times I missed him in this video. But anyways, yeah, there's not that much in this stage, as I just rinse and repeat every single time I choked. But with that, we can finally be done with the main levels of this challenge. So with that, we can now move on to the bonus stages. Okay. Yes. Yes. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yo. It's possible. It's possible. It's so boring, but it's possible. Dude, I can actually work on this video. Bro, it's literally 5:14 in the morning. And right before this, I actually just did World 7 because I was scared of the stage. Holy crap, I'm gonna let the credits play out so I can have like a little bit of something I can reflect on at the end to see what's possible, what's not. With that, every single stage in World 6 is surprisingly possible. So now we can move on to the final world. World 7, which is extremely short, but it's still interesting. Up first, I do 7-3, which might be a little bit interesting, but I've also speedrun the stage a lot, so I'm really knowledgeable with the stage. For some reason though, I don't even know how the hell this happened or how it worked, but it made the stage look a lot cooler. Anyways, that's pretty much the entire stage. We can now go on to 7-2. 7-2 contains a bunch of different auto-scrolling sections, and the sections in between these auto-scrollers kind of suck for the challenge, but if you just take your time, they're pretty easy. By the end of the stage, it's actually kind of challenging to do this without pressing left, which this is still a rocket barrel stage. Why the hell am I showing this? But this part was just a little bit annoying. Aside from that, not a hard stage at all. Okay, whatever. 7-1 was kind of interesting because this is by far the hardest stage in the world, but it is still possible by using a green balloon. You're gonna see this run right here fail, and it actually took me quite a bit of attempts. I think it took me like 3 green balloons before I got it, but as long as you played really carefully, you will be able to get into that cannon right there. After that, if you just played really slowly, you should have been fine, because the stage spawns in front of you and they throw a bunch of this stuff. But with that will conclude every single level in the game. So now let's go to a conclusion page. With that, every level is possible in World 7. So, is it possible to beat Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze without pressing left? Sadly, it is not. How many left presses were required to beat the game? We needed 3 left presses inside of stages and 6 left presses on the world map. How many stages were possible without pressing left? There was a total of 55.5 out of 63 because of 4-1. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please consider subscribing if you did enjoy this video. With that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Dude, how many times did it say but throughout this video? I might need to put a counter, or I'll pin the comment whoever gets the correct amount of butts I said.